Alright, rock and roll. We have action. Hey folks, BKtv just about to do an interview with the Rewind podcast in the UK. The guy's name's Richard. And it's...
Hi there.
Richard!
Hi there, can you give me 5 minutes? If that's okay, just give me a second. One second.
Certainly can, buddy. How you been, alright?
Not too bad, yourself?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. We had I sent you an email, we had a bit of problem with the network here with the Skype. I'm not sure what happened, it crashed and then it wouldn't load up and there's all kinds of dramas, but we got there in the end, so...
I think every interview I've done, there's always been a trouble with the network on Skype, you know.
Yeah.
So, you're in the US at the moment?
I certainly am, I'm in California, yeah.
Are you enjoying it?
Loving it, loving it. We had an interesting evening last night, so we went to a bar called Howl at the Moon. It's on the Universal City Walk, and it was a birthday party for a guy by the name of Julian, and it was an 80s reunion thing. I swear, there was all these guys from the 80s, and it was just a walk back in time. It was just so surreal. It was funny.
So we welcome Bobby Kidd to the show. Hi Bobby, how's it going?
I'm doing well, Richard. Thank you for having me on the show.
Not a problem. Thanks for being on the show. Have you been up to much today?
Well, today it's early. It's just after 11 AM Thursday morning. So had a big night last night. Didn't get in until just after 3. So this is the first thing in the morning. Doing this interview with you. We've got a meeting, lunch meeting later on, and then I've got a few auditions that I'm doing tonight for my backing band here in the US.
Excellent. So what time did you get in at last night?
Sometime just after 3 in the morning, so it was a bit of a late one.
So I'll forgive you if you're not at your best at the moment then.
No, that's fine, that's no excuse.
Right, so to all the listeners out there who haven't heard of you, who is Bobby Kidd? You know...
Well, I mean, I'm a singer-songwriter from Sydney, Australia, so I've travelled a long way to be here with everyone. Basically, you know, to describe my music, it's radio-friendly, commercial, melodic rock. You know, that's as best as I can describe it. It's melodic, it's rock, you know, it is radio-friendly, you know, it is what it is. So, I mean, it's just a matter of having a listen to it and you make up your mind what you think of it. But it is melodic rock and it is radio-friendly.
Yeah, that would be the next question. You're saying it's melodic rock, but how would you describe it? You know, if you could describe it a bit further, like, you know, it's kind of radio-friendly melodic rock, but I hear there's a little bit of classic rock in there, like, you know, there's Bon Jovi, I hear a little bit of Bon Jovi in there.
Look, I mean, there's a lot of influences, you know, growing up. I mean, I grew up with the 80s and a lot of those bands, you know, the big hair bands, and even current bands that I'm influenced by, you know, like 30 Seconds to Mars and Daughtry and Nickelback and Pink, and, you know, I even love Keith Urban, so there's a mixture of everything in there. Yeah, it's kind of like the good old school with a modern sound. So, you know, if you wanted to sort of pigeonhole it, it's kind of like old school classic rock sort of stadium tunes with a modern sort of sound. I
think that's actually a key word there, you know, stadium songs, you know, anthems. Because your songs, I've listened to a few of them and they're amazing.
Thank you.
They kind of great verses, it's a soar towards the choruses, which is just exactly what you're looking for in a rock song.
I appreciate that, yeah. I mean, that's exactly, as a fan of I'm a fan of great music, so when I go to a show, when I hear a band, that's what I want to hear. So, you know, ultimately, when I'm writing, you know, I don't sit there and say I've got to write an anthem song, you know, I just write whatever comes out. But that's what I grew up with, so, you know, that's what's going to come out.
Yeah, exactly. So talking about the writing, where does your inspirations come from songs?
You know, it's funny because they can come from anywhere, you know. I mean, even just being here, I've been here for 3 weeks in California, and there's so many things that I've jotted down on paper, inspiration, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of songs to come out of my time spent here in California. You know, a lot of it is personal experiences, whether it's personal on my side or people that I'm writing with. And then there are some that are observations. So, you know, I try not to give too much away in terms of what a particular song's about, because what I initially wrote it for or about, or who, or the situation, you know, it will be completely different to how everyone else hears it. So I kind of like the idea of, this is this song, and I have my version as to what I wrote it about. You make up your mind, because everyone takes something different away from every song, and I don't want to kind of kill that. Because if I told you about what that song was about, you'd probably go, oh, I didn't want to know that. So,
Yeah.
so when people ask me what's this song about, I kind of go, well, you know, whatever you want it to be about. You know, I have my version, you can have your version.
Just in case the fans don't think it's that interesting what it's originally about, you know?
Yeah.
Now, I was reading it a lot about you, and you're in a band, World Star, a few years back, which was quite a successful band. What made you go solo?
Well, that band, that was my original band that I started with. I was a keyboard player / backing vocalist, and it was such a great experience, and the guys in the band were fantastic, and you know, they taught me a lot. I learned a lot from them, from songwriting point of view, just to the musicianship on stage, off stage. I just think that, you know, I never really thought about singing or going, you know, being the lead singer. As I said, I was a keyboard player and I enjoyed that, and we, you know, did 2 years of solid gigging around, you know, Australia sort of thing. Had an album, and that was, you know, relatively successful. We had management, you know, had airplay overseas in the UK and so on. I think at some stage it just got to a point where I wanted to sing and do my own thing. You know, it had nothing to do with the band. I mean, I left on good terms. It was just, it was time for Bobby Kidd to do Bobby Kidd, and the rest, as they say, is history. So, you know, I then picked up the guitar, self-taught, and took it from there.
Right. And what's it like? What's the dynamics like, you know, of being in a band and being a solo artist? And what's the difference? Would you say the main differences are?
The difference, okay, well, there's the on-stage. There is no difference. So obviously with the backing band that I have in Australia, on stage the chemistry is still there. It's still a band format. You know, you still have the guys up front. It's not me shoved up at the front and then all these guys kind of hidden without any lights on them. It doesn't work like that with me. It definitely is a band environment, the band chemistry on stage. Everyone's a part of it. It's not me. You know, I need everyone on stage. Off stage, the difference is, when you've got 4 or 5 guys in a band, and then obviously you've got 4 or 5 different opinions, and you've got to obviously take their opinion into consideration because everyone's a part of the band.
Yeah.
Whereas a solo artist, I don't necessarily, it's me. You know, it's me and management. You know, I sit down with my manager and we discuss, you know, the issues and my assistants and people like that. Whereas with the band, there's 4 or 5 of you guys, and obviously you're going to disagree on some things, and some things you're going to agree on. It that does make it hard when it comes to the songwriting aspect, to the style, to the direction, to the, you know, video clips and all that. Whereas, I guess in a way, it's just me and my manager. You know, we have the final say, so to speak. So it's just easier, I think.
Yeah. Although the flip side of that is that if you make the wrong decision, it's, you know, it's on your head.
Well, it is. You know, so I mean, if it works, I'll take the credit. If it doesn't, I'll take that as well. No, I don't blame anyone. I mean, if it fails, it fails. You know, at least I can, you know, walk away from it, sleep at night and say, you know what, I tried. I did my best, and it was a wrong decision. But, you know, knock on wood, so far things have been going really well.
Excellent. Now, talking about things going really well, you've actually released your EP, Breaking Me Down, which seems to be doing brilliant at the moment. Why the title, Breaking Me Down?
Well, it was funny. I was telling my manager the other day, obviously that's the title of the EP, which obviously the song is called Breaking Me Down. And initially I was going to call the EP Watching the Faces Go By. It's actually a line from the song Breaking Me Down. So if you listen to it, you'll hear that line. That was the initial title, Watching the Faces Go By. But then for whatever reason, I just scrapped it last minute and said, Breaking Me Down. It was kind of what I was feeling like at the time. I just felt like that's what it was doing to me. I think I was just, it's where my head was at that time, you know, Breaking Me Down. That's how that song was written. I'm not going to go into what it was written about, but I just felt that was how I felt at the time. That was the strongest thing I wanted to say for that EP and generally at that time. And hence why I just went, Breaking Me Down. That says it all to me.